What's up YouTube and welcome to KangBrosTV, the boxing section. Today we're going to talk about Eubank versus Groves on the 17th of Feb. As on the topic of Eubank, I'm just trying to make a quick shout out to Harlem Eubank, who's fighting on the 3rd of March at Bethnal Green at York Hall. He supported our channel right from the beginning, so big shout out to you and good luck for your fight, bro. So if you want to get tickets, you can DM him on his Instagram and he'll get back to you. So, to the fight. I mean, I think this is going to be a great fight because there's two styles here that it's going to make it count for a great fight because they're totally different fighters. I've got a lot of respect for both fighters and for different reasons. I mean, kick off straight away. Who do you think is going to win?
I think it will be Groves. I like Eubank, Chris Eubank JR, and I think he's, I think he has got all the credentials to be a real top fighter. But I just think that it's, I think Groves. I don't know. It just seems like I think he's probably had some the tougher fights, the experience that he needs to kind of get him through. I think, and as you say, styles make. Everyone always that cliche about styles make fights, but I think it's definitely applicable in this case. And I think Groves' style is probably going to be a bit too awkward for Eubank, in my opinion. What about yourself? What do you think?
You know what? I think I'm going to go just Groves as well. I think the same for the same reasons. I think he's got 3 losses, right, and he's got 2 against Froch. And
technically the first one, I mean, that a lot of question marks. The second one was lights out.
Yeah, it was definitely lights out for that one. And I think I think Badu Jack, right, as well. These 3 defeats is no joke. These 3 defeats are no joke. So that's why I think
on the flip side to that, and I've put this out. I spoke to because we've been talking to a lot of people who've been sending us messages and asking questions and stuff. I just don't think the other wins that he's had. I mean, it's weird that I'm saying this because I've just said a minute ago that he's had the tougher fights, but the defeats that he's had, so maybe it kind of shows that when he's got to the top level, he's failed. He beat De Gale quite early on, which and to be honest, I thought Chunky won that fight. I watched that fight and I think he was nip and tuck, and I think he could have given it either way.
Yeah.
And then after that, he beat Chudinov. I think it was Chudinov for the belt to win the belt. And no disrespect, you can't take nothing away from him because he's won and he's beat. And I think Martin Murray, other than that, was probably his toughest fight. So other than that, although he's been in the ring with those top guys, he's a bit like do you know that Smith, one of the Smith brothers, who's been in there with all the top guys but got beat. A bit like Martin Murray's been in there with all the top guys and actually got beat. So I don't know. I guess
the thing for me, right, is Groves is a very difficult fighter. He's a very good fighter technically, and we saw when Eubank fought someone who's very good technically with Billy J Saunders, right? And Billy J Saunders for me schooled Eubank. Yeah. Eubank was going to say he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Now, as much as I like Eubank and I think he's got great power, great speed, everyone knows that about him, but you did get schooled by Billy J Saunders.
And also, I'm not too sure about the power thing. I'm not too sure about the power thing because against Billy J Saunders, he didn't get to. It's harsh to say he didn't do anything because he only got going from probably round 6 and round 7, and then after that it looked like he had loads left in the tank. And it's an experience, isn't it? It's a bit like a Coley Chamberlain. Like it's both of them. That fight came too early for both of them. Just like I felt that fight, Groves and Billy Joe Saunders probably came too early for both of them, but they just didn't like each other. So,
do you think Eubank would beat Billy J Saunders now?
I don't know. I think it'd be a much better fight. But I think the one thing about if he did it now is that he'd know what he can do. He'll know what he's capable of. Back then in that fight, he didn't know what he was capable of. And I know people say, you say you schooled him. I don't think I think schooling is the wrong way. I think Billy Joe Saunders won the fight, but I think it's only because he won the first half of the fight, and then Chris Eubank Jr. won the second half of the fight. So I don't think schooling is probably quite fair. And that's where my thing about Eubank it comes, because he thought ever since he's got the power, he actually didn't look like he was going to knock Billy Joe Saunders out, did he?
No.
But he did lay shots on him, and it just shows that if he got going earlier, he would have probably outworked him. That's what I think. I'm
going to put it out there. For me, Billy J Saunders, if he's on it, he's one of the best boxers out there.
Well, yeah.
And I think if I'm talking the likes of Canelo, I'm talking the likes of Golovkin, I think he can give...
Did you reckon he beat Danny Jacobs?
Yes.
I don't think he does.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If Billy J Saunders is on it, he has to be fully on it for me. And when he is, he gets up for the big fights. These other fights he's had in between, he hasn't really been up for them, and he had disappointing
I'd love to know if anybody else sees that, and I'd love to know what people think about that. Does Billy Joe Saunders beat Danny Jacobs? As I said, I like Billy Joe Saunders, but I think Danny Jacobs is.
No, he's serious. He's serious.
But going back to this fight, so you think Groves edges it as well?
I think he's going to edge it. But then for me is, how do you see Groves winning it? Because that's the biggest thing. Okay, Groves is going to be a very awkward fighter for him. But how do you, because for me, Groves fades away in fights. I think he fades away in fights, and I can't see him knocking out Eubank either. So I've never seen Eubank shook or rocked or anything. So from what Eubank is saying, he says that he's definitely not going to knock him out. They've done a lot of sparring together before as well. I don't know how much to make of the sparring.
You can't look into sparring.
Of course not. But I'm not saying that as in for the result of the fight. I'm saying as in he knows how much powers he's got. Yeah.
Stylistically, things have changed. But I guess going back to the point about who they fought. I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. hasn't fought anybody. He fought one top fighter, which was
Abraham.
Well, and Abraham was past it. He's 40.
That's I don't know how old. But
he was 40. But before that, he fought Billy Joe Saunders, and got beat. And then he fought. And the only other fight of real significance is this Yildirim guy that he fought recently, because he made a lot of noise. But he was expected to win that fight. So I just find it hard. And it's not being disrespectful. I just find it hard that he can't go around saying, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that." When I'm just like, you haven't fought a top elite level fighter and beaten him convincingly. When you come up against a world champion, Billy Joe Saunders is a world champion, and I don't know if he was back then, but he's a world champion, and he lost. He lost that fight, and he got outboxed by somebody who was probably had a bit more ring craft than him at the time. So I think I know he's sparred with the best, and he's been in Mayweather's gyms, and he's done all that good stuff, and that's fine, and that's great. But he's the IBO champion. IBO world champion, and you can't. you never piss on anything like that because you're a world champion. But I just feel like he needs to beat Groves. He needs to beat Groves. As far as I'm concerned.
I think they both need to win this fight as much as each other for different reasons. You just said.
My question to you would be: do you think who wants it more?
I can't say. We can't say, right? We're not the boxers. But
from your opinion, who do you think wants it more? Because I think
Eubank
wants it more, and that's where. It's contradicting to what we just said, but if you're asking me who wins the fight, I think Groves wins the fight. Who do I think wants it more and needs it more is Eubank, because Groves could be like, you know what, I sold the Wembley fight with Carl Froch, probably made him for life. Let's make no bones about it. He then went on to win a world championship. He then fought Badou Jack, which would have made him money. This fight is gonna be. So I don't think he needs it. He's probably like, if I lose, I lose. So what? I was world champion. I got beat by Eubank Jr. Whatever. He might even get a rematch out of it. So be it. Whereas Eubank, as far as I'm concerned, he can't afford to lose this fight.
Yeah, I think because Eubank, everyone loves Eubank because you see all this stuff on Instagram. That he's a likable guy, and the way he fights is aggressive. And you
say he's a likable guy. It's split personality.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But as he's definitely a guy you can sell and everything like that. Yeah, marketable. Sorry. The thing is, like you said, he needs to back it now. He talks the game, but like you said, when he got the tested from Billy Joe Saunders, he came short, and now he needs to prove that he's at that level. And this is a great competition for it. My only worry is that he's a middleweight. Let's be honest. He's fought 3 at super middleweight now, and Groves is not a small super middleweight. He's had it out with the big super middleweights.
And he's put Froch down.
Exactly.
He put Froch down, and that is saying something in itself.
Groves is not a small dude. Right, and this is why I think this is a proper test, and I think even Eubank knows it himself. He said it himself. This is his biggest test, and this is where I really think that this is where the fight is going to show if that he is actually a natural super middleweight.
We were talking about this before. The one thing that worries me about Eubank Jr. is he looks great on social media. Do you know all the workouts and obviously got an absolute rig, so fair play,
yeah.
But. Letting his hands go on those bags and all that sort. That's brilliant, it's amazing. But how many times are you going to get a boxer sit in the pocket for you to do that continuously for that much time?
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen. So it's great to see you can do all that, but
so you're thinking he's sitting in the pocket for?
I think yeah. So if you look at that the Stars Make Fights thing, he sat in the pocket and he loads up for shots. He doesn't get his shots off. Quickly enough. The powerful shots, the really meaningful shots, the precise shots, I don't think he gets them off quickly enough. So against Billy Joe Saunders, when he loads up to try and hit a big shot, and then he misses and he sort of stands there, and then he has to come out of it, and he's quite rigid like that. And I think that Groves preys on stuff like that. He will prey on that.
For me, I don't think
counterpunching. He will prey on it.
Yeah, for me, I don't think he's too slow in getting those shots off. I think he tries to get those shots off, but it's like you said, people like Billy J Saunders, they don't stand around. Same with Groves. He's a very clever fighter.
He's elusive. He's going
to find those gaps.
And that's what I'm saying. I think Eubank loads up, and it takes too much time loading up.
Yeah.
And these guys at the higher levels we'll see that coming and be like, right, okay, well, we know what's coming here because he likes to load up. He's going to throw this right, and then when I miss it, I've got a split second there because he stays in there for too long, and then he's out. So that's why I think the higher level fighters, and Groves has had, and we've touched a point that everyone talks about, is championship rounds.
Yeah.
He's had championship rounds. Listen, I was at that fight. You know, I was lucky enough to be ringside when Groves fought Froch at Wembley. And I ain't going to lie to you, that knockout was brutal. You know when you're standing there, you're literally like, you know when you're just like, oh, that's what it was like when I was watching it. Because it was nasty, yeah? But I guarantee you that gave him so much experience, and like thinking, you know, that moment alone would have set himself. A lot of fighters believe that. I mean, listen, I've never been in the ring, and actually had a competitive fight, so I'd never like to take anything away from anybody because it's great enough to get in the ring. But a lot of fighters say you become a better fighter, you learn more once you lose. So I think in the fashion that he lost against real top level fighters, I think Groves has learned a lot more. So I do think he's a lot more experienced now. He'll be a lot calmer in there, and he'll be a lot more chilled. He knows what his game plans are. He knows how to fight, and stuff like that. So that's why I think Groves edges it for me.
So if we are wrong, you know, we've gone with Groves on this one. But like we said, it's going to be a very close fight. So we're not going it's one-sided to Groves at all. It could go the other way. If Eubank does win this fight for you, how do you see it happening? Do you think he can win by knockout?
I think it'll be a stoppage. I think if he wins, it'll be stoppage, and I think it'll be because Groves may tire. Like you said, sometimes he can go missing in fights.
The thing is, I can't see Eubank tiring.
He's got an absolute engine on it. I don't think Eubank tires. So the only way I think Groves can win this fight is points. We know he has got the ability to put somebody down, but I think the only way he can win is, you know, theoretically, I think it would be on points, because I think he will be a slicker fighter and he'll be able to get his work done and get out again. Whereas I think Eubank spends a bit too much time in the wrong areas. That's why I think he could win the fight. If you ask me who I think is going to knock you out, I think the only person that can win by knockout in this would be Eubank, just because I think because I think his start, the way the style of his fight. So if he does get into those pockets, and he is somehow able to unleash all those shots that he can shot, then I imagine after a while it will take its toll. But I just don't see Groves being that naive to stay in there for that long.
Cool. And then to finish off is on this whole ITV box office thing. Now, does it bother you? Does it affect you? Do you think it affects the fighters at all? It's getting built up, but it's definitely not getting built up the same. The feelings you get from a Sky box office fight. Now, what your takes? Obviously, this is probably doing good for the Eubank. So, you know, hats off to you guys.
He's making his money. Yeah.
He's making his money, but what do you reckon?
I think it goes back to the point that I made from previous videos about becoming a trade fight. I think people within boxing know about the fight.
Yeah.
People that are boxing fans, I know that a lot of my mates are messaging me saying, "Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing what your inputs are on this fight," and everyone knows about it. But is it going to be a household fight? No. The funny thing is, the British Beef, the Cody Chamberlain, was on Sky Sports, yeah? And it had people talking about it who didn't even know anything about boxing, because it was just like the way that Sky hype fights. So I think it's weird. You got hats off to the Eubanks, because you're maximising that opportunity. They've gone into something. The only thing I will say is, if Eubank loses this fight, right, and let's just say he has another fight off the back of, I don't know, Callum Smith, for example, you're not going to make numbers on ITV box office, are you?
Yeah, the thing is, we don't really know the ins and outs of it. Do you know what I mean? They could have had a great deal and making great numbers, like you said, personally. But for me, it's the biggest thing there is, like you're saying about the household names. And that's where I think the Eubanks are missing out massively, even though it is quite dominated by Sky Sports and Eddie Hearn and all this kind of stuff, and you're doing something
BT
different.
Sport, Frank Warren, you know.
Yeah, so it's a different avenue, which is good. I don't think it's good having all in one area, but that's what you think is one thing that's lacking for sure. And I don't know if people are going to go out there and, you know, pay the extra money for the.
I do think it's again, you know, that's why it's another big win for Eubank if he wins.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't win, you can look at it and think, right, well, why am I paying for your next fight? Why am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Because this guy gets beat. Do you know what I mean? So it's a risk, but he's got to back it up now. I mean, I think he's got all the credentials to do it, and I actually really do wish him all the best, because I do like Eubank, and I think he could be one of those guys that would sell out Vegas and all that sort of stuff. He's got all the credentials are there, you know, rig,
personality,
chat.
rig chat.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, rig chat, and he's got, you know, he conducts himself well. Obviously his old man is always going to put bums on seats because he is who he is. So it all fits. It's whether or not now can you deliver? Can you deliver this now? Because this is your biggest test. You know, Groves, he's been there, done it, seen it all really. You know, he's been knocked clean out. He's won world titles. He's, he fought against Badou Jack, who we are massive fans of. So yeah, it's a great fight. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Drop us your messages and let us know what you think.
Yeah, so we've gone with Groves on this one. So let us know what your take is on this fight, and do you think we're completely off, and you think it's a one way for Eubank, or you might think it's Groves. So look forward to hearing from you guys, and keep subscribing. Peace.